Welcome back, champions. If you're new here, hit subscribe because this is where we build empires. Today, we are doing the full, unabridged deep dive exploration into one of the most powerful, yet criminally misunderstood concepts in persuasion, cognitive fluency. This isn't just theory, this is the cheat code to making people feel smart and confident while you close the deal. The core idea here is simple, but its application is masterful. We structure our pitches and materials to be so incredibly simple, clear, and easy to process that the prospect feels mentally exhausted by any alternative, and therefore, they choose us. Let's start with the science. What exactly is cognitive fluency? At its heart, it's simply the measure of how easily information can be processed or understood by the human brain. Think about it, when something is easy to process, when the language is straightforward, the visuals are clean, and the structure is logical, your brain doesn't have to exert much effort. And here's the critical psychological leap: your brain interprets that ease of processing not as "this was simple," but as "this must be true." Fluency equals perceived truth. The scientific definition is robust. Highly fluent material tends to be perceived as true, trustworthy, and correct. This isn't an accident, it's a cognitive shortcut. Our brains are inherently lazy. They prefer the path of least resistance. When we present something complex, a dense PDF filled with jargon, or a multi-layered financial model, we force the prospect to do mental heavy lifting. And when they feel mentally exhausted, guess what happens? Their guard drops. They start looking for an easy out. So, what's the human translation? It's this: don't make me think. Just sign here so we can move on with our lives. We are selling simplicity. We are selling cognitive relief. The goal of your pitch is not to overwhelm them with how brilliant you are, it's to make their alternative options feel like a headache they desperately want to avoid. Now, let's get tactical. How do you operationalize this? The actionable hack boils down to three things: analogies, bullet points, and ruthless limitation. You must simplify your complex value proposition until it feels almost insultingly easy to grasp. First up, analogies. Never just state a benefit, compare it to something universally understood. If your product streamlines supply chain logistics, don't use industry jargon like optimized throughput. Instead, say, it's like having an extra pair of eyes on every shipment, 24/7. People connect with stories and familiar concepts far more easily than they connect with technical specifications. Think of it as translating your PhD thesis into fifth-grade language. You are not being dumb, you are being persuasive. The moment the prospect feels they understand the core concept instantly, their trust level skyrockets because the information felt trustworthy and simple. Next, bullet points. This is the visual architecture of fluency. Dense paragraphs are intellectual quicksand. They force the reader to reread, interpret, and synthesize, a high cognitive load. Bullet points, however, allow the brain to process discrete units of information. Each point can be absorbed in seconds, giving the illusion of comprehensive understanding with minimal effort. When you use bullets effectively, you are not just listing features, you are creating mental checkmarks. Every time they read a point and nod internally, they feel like they've successfully processed a piece of critical information. This accumulation of small wins builds massive confidence in your solution. Now for the most critical, and often hardest rule: limitation. You must limit your core takeaways to a maximum of three. Three things. No more, no less. If you present 5 major benefits, the prospect's brain doesn't know where to put its limited processing power. It gets overloaded, and they default back to their old, comfortable way of doing things. The rule of 3 is ancient rhetoric for a reason. It's inherently satisfying to the human mind. We remember things in threes: the primary colors, life, death, beginning, middle, end. By limiting your pitch to 3 core pillars, you give the prospect an easy mental framework to hang all the benefits on. Let's talk about the alternative effect. This is where Fluency truly shines. When you make your solution feel incredibly simple, it just works, it takes X minutes to implement, and Y dollars per month, you are subconsciously making all other options seem complicated, expensive, or time-consuming. The prospect doesn't say, "This is better than option B," they think, "Option B sounds like it requires me to hire an entire IT department and spend 6 months on integration. Wow, that's a lot of work." The simplicity you provide becomes the primary differentiator. This is about managing cognitive load. Every time you introduce unnecessary complexity, a chart with 17 variables, a legal document written by an overly enthusiastic lawyer, you are increasing the prospect's mental effort. An increased effort breeds skepticism and resistance. So, when you build your pitch deck, I want you to run it through the Fluency filter. Ask yourself, could my grandmother understand this? If the answer is no, simplify it again. Can a smart high school student grasp the core value in under 30 seconds? If not, cut it. Remember that the goal is not just clarity, it's perceived clarity. You want them to feel like they are having an easy conversation, even when you are discussing multi-million-dollar contracts. The sales process should feel less like a negotiation and more like a natural conclusion. Let's talk about the language itself. Avoid industry jargon like synergistic paradigm shift. Instead, use plain English, it helps your team work together better and save time. Plain English is persuasive gold. You are essentially giving the prospect a cognitive reward. Every time they successfully process one of your simplified points, their brain gets a little dopamine hit. They start associating that positive feeling with your solution. This is why analogies are so powerful. They act as mental shortcuts. Instead of forcing them to learn a new concept, you map it onto an existing, familiar structure. It's like giving them a labeled roadmap instead of just coordinates. And let's revisit the 3 rule for structuring your entire meeting. You should have 3 main talking points, 3 key benefits, and ideally, 3 clear next steps. This structure provides an immediate sense of closure and direction. If you feel yourself rambling or getting caught up in the weeds, the technical details that only you care about, stop. Take a breath. Recenter on the core message. What are the 3 things they absolutely must remember? Think of your pitch as an elevator ride. You have 30 seconds. What are the 3 most impactful, simplest points you can make? Everything else is noise. The ultimate goal of cognitive fluency in sales is to reduce perceived risk. Complexity feels risky because it requires too much effort and introduces too many unknowns. Simplicity feels safe. When you simplify the process, it takes 30 minutes to set up. We handle everything. You are not just selling software, you are selling peace of mind. You are selling mental ease. This principle also applies to your pricing structure. Don't present a massive matrix of customizable add-ons that require a spreadsheet and 3 hours of analysis. Present 3 clear tiers: Basic, Pro, Enterprise. Simple choices lead to faster decisions. The choice architecture is everything. By limiting the options and making them simple to compare, you guide their decision-making process without ever feeling manipulative. You are simply providing clarity. Let's talk about visual design, because it feeds directly into cognitive fluency. Your slides must be immaculate. Use ample white space. Don't cram information into every corner. White space is not empty, it is a psychological tool that signals calm and clarity. Use consistent fonts and color palettes. Consistency reduces the cognitive load because the brain doesn't have to relearn how to read or interpret your brand every time you switch slides. It feels professional, it feels reliable. When presenting data, never just throw up a complex graph with 14 axes. Simplify the narrative of the data. What is the one single takeaway? Circle that number. Use an arrow to point to it. Make the answer obvious. This is about guiding their focus, making them feel like they are smart enough to see your simple genius. You are leading them through a mental journey where every step feels effortless and logical. If you find yourself using too many statistics, remember that numbers are meaningless without context. Don't say, "Our efficiency increased by 37%. Say, "We saved your team the equivalent of 2 full workdays every month." That is fluency. The emotional payoff here is massive. The prospect doesn't just buy the product, they buy the feeling of having made an easy, smart decision. They feel relieved that they don't have to deal with complexity anymore. So, let's summarize the playbook. 3 core takeaways. First, use analogies to map complex ideas onto simple, familiar concepts. Second, structure your content using bullet points and headings for maximum digestibility. Third, ruthlessly limit everything, especially options and benefits, to a maximum of 3. Every time you prepare for a pitch, run it through this filter. Strip away the jargon. Remove the unnecessary data points. Force yourself to explain the core value proposition in one simple sentence. Mastering cognitive fluency is mastering human psychology. It's not about being the smartest person in the room, it's about making yourself feel like the easiest and safest choice. Go out there, make things simple, and watch your conversion rate soar. Because in the world of high-stakes persuasion, simplicity is the ultimate superpower.